Hello everybody and welcome back to part 3 of my Crash review. The next level that I'll be showing will be Hog Wild. This level features running through the level on the back of a pig. And this is the original vehicle level, and this is the only vehicle level in the game. It features you going side to side to dodge obstacles and jumping over pits and jumping onto drums to go further on pits. You also ram into boxes to break them, and this level has a box jam just like any other level. This level is a great basis for all the vehicle levels to come in the next few Crash games. A tip for the shield guys is to go in the opposite direction of where they're going to avoid crashing into them. This level is very short, but it's very well crafted, and it's a great basis for all the vehicle levels in all of the Crash series. The next level is Native Fortress, which took me months to get past on my first playthrough. It also made me rage so much I wanted to chuck the game out the window, because I still wasn't used to controls of Crash games, as this was the first ever Crash game I ever played. This level, although it's very hard on your first playthrough, once you've beaten it, it'll feel super rewarding, and on subsequent playthroughs you'll know the design of the level and it will be much easier, although it still will be a little challenging. There are some tricky jumps that you'll feel like a beast for pulling off. And there's also loads of those shield guys, and they're on slopes and stuff, so it's much harder to survive when they fucking blow you back. Overall, this level is very challenging, especially on your first playthrough, but on subsequent playthroughs it's a very fun level if you're familiar with the controls of Crash Bandicoot. The next level is Up the Creek, and this is like a harder version of Upstream. Just like the other levels that are like harder versions of other levels, this still has very unique level design and does not recycle many things from the previous level. This is a very well made level, and it combines challenging platforming, hard to time jumps, and good enemy placement to make a really well built level. This is one of those kinds of levels that I tend to replay whenever I go back to the game. Next up is the second boss, Ripperoo, which consists of TNT boxes going down the stream, and you have to perfectly time jumping on them so that as he jumps around he'll be right next to one as it explodes, which will damage him. You can also take damage by him jumping onto the same place as you, so you have to keep moving throughout the place. The phases become harder by him jumping around more places, meaning you have to move around more. And also he moves slightly faster depending on the phase. This boss is very challenging and I found it really hard. It is very brutal, just like most of the bosses in the Crash Bandicoot series. However, I do think it is better than the version in Crash 2, which I'll talk about in the Crash 2 review. The next level is the Lost City, which is the first level in the game that features a special box gem. These special box gems are obtained similarly to normal box gems, except you have to break all the boxes in the level and not die once. I did not bother on this playthrough for this review to try to get all the special gems, because they are all very hard and took me forever on my first playthrough, especially the one for Slippery Climb. This level is very well built and has some very tricky jumps, but it also has a good balance of enemies and platforming. It also has loads of waiting around, which can hinder the momentum, but other than that it's still a very well made level with not much BS in it. There is also at the start very well designed bit where you go around those metal crates to get that life, which you saw just at the start of the thing. As I said, this has loads of waiting around, but other than that it's a very well made level. The next level is Temple Ruins, which obviously goes through the ruins of a temple. This takes place indoors and is very dark lit, meaning that some of the platforming can be a bit hard because the drop shadow isn't very visible. Also, some of the camera angles can have bad depth perception. And as you can see right here, there's one bouncy box that I forgot about that it took me forever to find when I first got the box gem on my first playthrough for this level. And I probably won't include it, but at the end of the level I only had one box missing because I forgot to go out of my way to get that one box. I was only making sure to get the box gems on levels that I could easily do it on my first run, as to not get too infuriated and to have this review not take too long. This is a very well made level, and just like most of the others in this game, despite its problems that I said at the start of this section, which is that it's very darkly lit, meaning you can't see your drop shadow very well, and also there's bad depth perception. And there's also some very tricky platforming, and some sections that are a little bullshit. Next up is Road to Nowhere, and this level is feckin' hard. It looks okay in the background footage, but on my first playthrough, it literally took me like weeks to get past it. And although it's not as bad as the High Road, which I'll be showing later on in this review, it's still a very hard level, and but it still is very well crafted, and most of the time its hardness is very well fair. Although there is some bullshit sections, like there are some planks that look like they're okay to stand on, but they're actually not. But other than that, I think this level is okay, and there is some skilled people at the game, like Icarus, that don't find the level very hard. But for an average skilled player like me, I find it very hard. The next level is Boulder Dash, which is another one of the levels that's like a harder version of a previous level. Just like all of the others, and you're probably tired of me saying this over and over, but it's true, it does still have very unique level design. And this one specifically is very unique from the previous level that it's based on. Although it does have the same core thing of the boulders, it's still very different and has loads more jumping and is a lot more challenging. And this is by far one of the most fun levels in the game, in my opinion. If I had to choose 3 levels to keep in the game, I would choose Castle Machinery, this level, and Insanity Beach. So, as I said, this level is very good, and it's one of my favourites in the game. The next level is Sunset Vista, which is like a harder version of Lost City. I think somebody at Naughty Dog must have been getting super bored of designing new levels and just decided to make harder versions of old levels, because there seems to be loads at this point in the game. Although there is some more unique levels later on in the game. This level, just like all of the other harder versions, is very well made, and it has a lot less of the waiting around like Lost City does, and it's a lot more challenging. I think it's much better than the Lost City, and is very good level.